Of all the myths and misconceptions about the Romans that circulate on the internet, one is more durable than all the others. The idea that modern America is destined to decline and fall like ancient Rome. There are many variations on the premise, with some commentators focusing on an increasingly unsettled international landscape and others taking aim at domestic division. But every crisis seems to raise visions of the Pax Americana going down in flames and barbarians hammering at the gates. These anxieties are rooted in America's unique trajectory. The United States emerged from the Second World War as the wealthiest and most powerful nation in history. Especially after the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was a widespread sense that American supremacy would last. Then, the world seemed to change. First, 9/11 and the unwinnable War on Terror. After that, the vicious system shock of the Great Recession. More recently, the rise of China, dysfunctional domestic politics, and tensions in Europe have prompted pundits to proclaim an era of decadence. When searching for analogies to explain America's decline, commentators across the political spectrum have turned to Rome. This was probably inevitable. For Americans, as for the rest of the West, Rome is the quintessential empire, and the fall of Rome is the most familiar saga of imperial collapse. Americans also have a sense that Rome is in their political DNA. The Constitution, after all, represents an attempt to create a new and perfected Roman Republic. Anxieties about Roman-style decline have been present since the beginning. The Founding Fathers knew how the Roman Republic had ended, and read Cicero and Polybius obsessively for clues about how to avoid its fate. Americans, in short, are conditioned to see the Roman Empire as both an ancestor and an analog. There are superficial points of correlation between the later Roman Empire and modern America. Each was the greatest power of its time. Each had been, at least relative to other states, more powerful in the past. Each had a strong legal system and a society that left room for social advancement. Despite institutionalized violence and inequality at every level, each professed to be guided by Christian principles. Beyond that basic level, the similarities end. Rome was an absolute monarchy founded on subsistence agriculture. America is a democratic republic with a sophisticated capitalist economy. The tenor of Roman culture was fundamentally conservative. Americans, by contrast, fetishize innovation. Roman technology never escaped the Iron Age. America is blazing the way into an age of unprecedented technological progress. Speaking of unprecedented technological progress, today's sponsor is Invideo AI. Human creativity needs to always be at the center of video production. Invideo, however, can help creators work more creatively. For example, if I wanted to make a promotional short about today's topic, I could enter part of my script in the prompt box. Then I toggle a few parameters about audience and generate a video.
Seemingly worlds apart, yet sharing uncanny.
I can add subtitles or change anything else through the edit command box. I can replace auto-generated clips with my own footage, or even clone my voice for the narration. You can make up to 4 watermarked videos with a free Invideo account. Upgrading to a paid plan will allow you to publish watermark-free videos and get full access to millions of royalty-free stock footage clips at just $20 a month. Returning to our topic. The Roman Empire, in short, was nothing like modern America. But that isn't really the argument that commentators are making when they say that America is falling like Rome. The underlying assumption is not that America is specifically like Rome, it's that all empires, ancient and modern, follow a similar course from greatness to grave. The fall of Rome is just a familiar illustration of a universal rule. There is some validity in the idea that, allowing for the variables of technology and culture, large states tend to behave in similar ways across time. Leading powers, for example, have historically been prone to complacency about their place in the world. Such parallels, however, obscure as much as they reveal. History isn't that simple. There was certainly nothing simple about the fall of Rome. Rome fell because Germanic tribes overcame its frontier defenses. It fell because a series of ruinous civil wars sapped its strength. It fell because its economy was underdeveloped. It fell because it had lost the loyalty of provincial elites. It fell because its officials were corrupt. It fell for all of these reasons, and for 100 others. I used to tell my students that the only thing we learn from history is that we learn nothing from history. It would be more accurate to say that what we learn from history is what we learn by traveling, that apparent differences can conceal profound similarities, and vice versa. As in a foreign country, we'll always tend to see what we expect to see. All we can do is open ourselves to being surprised. In this sense, thinking about the fall of Rome can help us think more clearly about America, not because America and Rome are similar, but because they're so different, and because we have to think hard about those differences. That the decline of Rome has no precise parallels in the 21st century does not mean that it has no lessons to offer modern America. It just means that those lessons aren't obvious. My new book, Insane Emperors, Sunken Cities, and Earthquake Machines, is now available as a paperback, ebook, and audiobook. You can buy your copy through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your local bookstore. For more Told in Stone content, check out my channels, Told in Stone Footnotes, and Scenic Routes to the Past, which are linked in the description. Please consider joining other viewers in supporting Told in Stone on Patreon. Thanks for watching.